So if hope were the possibility of accessing aliveness, the possibility of wanting to live, then for me hope is found in conversations with people that are looking to live a life that feels equal, that works towards moving towards something that feels just. I find it in practices of, like I said, I find it in practices of conversation, of deliberating what it means to show up for community. It shows up in play, playing with my children. It shows up in poetry. It shows up in practices that allow me to stay present with my body. Those are some ways in which I access hope.
So how, when talking about hope, one thing is coming to my mind. When I started working at WAS, it was January of 2022. So it was also like the pandemic has gotten a little better, but this COVID fear was there. And we had to like travel a lot in the trains and come to office. So on one hand, I really wanted to do this work. On the other hand, I was shit scared to travel in trains, like constantly surrounded by so many people. So every day I had this question, oh my god, and COVID was not like a viral right now. It was still COVID. So I think about that times and very tiny ways I was able to access hope. One day I saw a 5-year-old who sat just opposite to me in the train. So he just got into the train. His mom is sitting here, he's sitting here. He came and then he corrected his mask. And then he put his hand like this for the mother to put sanitizer. And then he's just sanitizing. And in that moment I felt like, yeah, there is hope. I think that is hope. That looking at the 5-year-old, like religiously putting on the mask and like doing like sanitizing. I think in those little, also I remember another instance where a fully pregnant ticket collector, the railway TC, she would also like diligently like, and then at a distance when people are showing tickets, she would be like, okay. So these are little instances I think I picked up, and those grounded me during my travel. So that's one way of accessing hope, like observing people around and noticing what's happening and how little things can lighten up how you're feeling that particular day. So that's coming to my mind.
This idea of wanting to arrive somewhere, but when we are there, we don't take a moment to pause and like really cherish that. That's very important. So that's where celebration comes in. Like I think celebration of that moment brings hope for me, and that now I have time to just do art, and that's hope. And art in a very pointlessly non-productive, anti-capitalistic way, wherein I will read books that don't add to my knowledge. Like they do, but they don't add to my knowledge, and they don't add to my career, and they don't add to my dreams of productivity, that I want to do this and apply here or there. And like, this is it, this is good space to be in, and I think that's hopeful.
So the way I access hope is through small acts of kindness, by performing them for others and also to myself. So being there for others and for myself is something very important to me, and that is what gives me hope and just holding on for the next day.
So what gives me hope is just the idea of accessing hope for myself, with my clients and people around me. I think that gives me hope, that gives me the idea of how I want to go forward and how I can access that small moments of happiness in all these spaces.
So reaching out to people I love and kind of listening to them talk about how much they love life, and that's one thing. Also nature, being out in nature and just interacting with nature, and finally art.
Hope for me, I would say, is a daily practice, right? Because some of us go finding hope or looking for it when we have like reached rock bottom. But as someone who's neurodivergent and multiple minority person, it's an everyday practice. So for me, it's nature. I photography, like I photograph even the little things that I see which attract my curiosity. Poetry, I read it almost every day. Very deep conversations that I have, I'm blessed to have that with some of my very close people. And of course the work I do. Here, like there is always a certain access of it. Right? So all of these, I think, are ingredients, right? And I also think it is an everyday practice. It should be.
So how do I access hope? I think I access a lot of hope from stories, stories of resistance, stories of learnings, unlearnings, and sort of other people accessing agency. That gives me a lot of hope for myself and for the world, and for the people around me, and also for me to find communities because of how I see people accessing agencies, sort of resisting the systems while doing that, and making that space, like making space and taking up that space even when systems don't give you that. That is something that gives me a lot of hope in surviving and in living.
How do I access hope is how I don't place it in any person, thing, or a place, in terms of so that I don't have to always rely on these constructs, because I do understand they're not always going to be floating around us. So I actually turn towards an hope within myself, and that's what keeps it going as well. But at the same time, when I say that I turn towards myself, I'm also talking about the memories that I've made with these same people that I would not really stick to for finding that hope, or the spaces I've been, or the things that I like. But again, just to feel hopeless in the absence of it wouldn't do for me, and I would not want to rely on that very intricate thread to these things, to these spaces, to these people. Intricate but significant. And that's why I would just go on to talk about them or hold on to them in my own memories. So to have that trust, to have that sense of being reliable in your own way, within yourself, for yourself. And that's how I keep the hope alive.
So I think I access hope by just holding the belief that it's around all the time. I may not see it right in front of my eyes, but it's around, and the universe gives me signs that, it's there, right? Yeah, I think just believing in the fact that it will be around all the time, maybe if it's very small or like right in front of my eyes, I don't know, but it's around all the time. And I think just believing in the fact that it's around is
I access hope, through the basics. It works for me. The basics as in the people who keeps me happy by providing care and attention. I think attention goes a long way, and I don't stop myself from having it also. The other is self-love. I try to practice it, and most importantly, what keeps my hope alive, or what how do I access it, is by nature. Now that may sound a little odd, but nature, because when you see it, it gives you some sense of calmness, and the same nature that gives you that sense of calmness can also be a destroyer at times. So knowing to
there, what gives you calm, and that it's not permanent is what actually keeps hope alive. And that nature has a way to show up, right? Like even in a barren land, you can see rivers coming again, or I don't know, like mushrooms sort of like cultivating again, and that is possible, right? So the wilderness that the nature has, or the ways that the nature has to show up, is what is how I access hope, and that is what works well.